Well, a very good morning, good evening, good afternoon to you. Welcome to the channel, wherever you are in the world. I hope life is treating you kind. Here in Perth, Western Australia, where I am, it's a very unusual day. Don't forget, we had a really big full moon last night. And I just realised I've wandered off down my first tangent for the day. Okay, so before I get into the content today, I just want to thank you for joining me. If you're a returning visitor, as you will know that I put in the timing chapters because I do tend to go down a tangent like I just did. If you're new to the channel, there are timing chapters in the description, okay? So you can just jump to the points of interest for you. Obviously, I think I said thank you then. I'm a little bit distracted today, largely because I've been working on my website and doing some development on there, trying to get things ready actually for release. You can find out about that on Sunday, though, when I load the yarning channel. I'll appraise you then. In the meantime, I will, before I talk about the content, just remind people I did speak about the full moon last night, and if you want to put your crystals out, if that's what you're into, today would still be a good day to do it. But anyway, now let's start talking about the subject matter for today, which is actually the Golden Obsidian, which is a fairly new addition to my collection. I don't know if you've used it yourself, but if you have or haven't or whatever, I do invite you to put comments below, ask questions, or share your experience as part of helping us all grow and learn in our understanding. Just a quick favour before I get into it though, if you find any of the content that I put up to be useful, can you just give us a bit of a thumbs up, please? Because that would be really appreciated. As I've said before, it helps to keep me motivated to keep doing content on the channel. But anyway, let's jump on and take a look now at Golden Obsidian. So this is what we're talking about, really. It's not the best image of what I've seen, or of my piece. My piece, you can actually see a clearer definition between black and the gold. And just so you know, sometimes it's called golden sheen obsidian, I think. But anyway, it's a very, very interesting crystal. We'll talk about the mineral stuff in a little while, but in as far as it's interesting because it's found in volcanic areas. Apparently it's not uncommon either, but apparently also it has been used across cultures for, a millennia supposedly. But in modern times, obviously, we can use it more as decoration, but it's got a really interesting function when it comes to the metaphysical attributes. So I'll try and get there quickly for you. I guess the first thing to acknowledge is it's supposed to be recommended or beneficial to those people with a Leo star sign, Sagittarius or Capricorn. And of course, as always, I say to people, look, if this isn't your star sign and you still feel drawn to buying a crystal or having it as part of your collection, then I would encourage you to do so. Now, interesting thing here too, when we talk about recommendations for people with certain star signs, I'm actually a Leo Virgo cusp. And while I have my piece, and I pulled it out while I was doing the transcript for the video, which, by the way, incidentally, I'm exceptional for doing a transcript and then forgetting to follow it. Such is life. But anyway, where I was going with this is I'm actually, even though I've done the video and I really like this crystal and what it offers, at the same time, I'm not drawn to work with it or use it yet. And that's probably because I've got other crystals that do the same thing, and probably a bit more. In fact, I would say that it's similar in some ways to nummite, but actually it's not pronounced nummite, is it? It's pronounced numite. Numite does more than what Golden Obsidian does, and I'm very attracted to working with that at the moment. So from a metaphysical overview perspective, I actually was trying to figure out a title of what we could call this crystal. Is it a stone of empowerment? Is it a stone of higher communication? It's quite interesting. But the thing is too that while it is an empowering crystal, it's actually not a healing crystal per se. It's not considered to be a physical healer. So today's video is going to be a bit shorter because we're missing one whole slide. What it is considered to be is a diagnostic tool. So I guess, if you were going to see your doctor, he would have a stethoscope to assess your body, or you would go and get x-rays done and all of that kind of thing. With Golden Obsidian, this is considered to be what you use to diagnose what is going on with within a person's energy field. And the theory runs to if there is an energetic imbalance, or it follows on with the emotional and thinking processes, and that is believed to manifest physical health conditions in the body, in the physical body. Well, point being that it does work with physical healing, if you believe this stuff, in that it helps you to identify underlying causes of what's going on. But we'll talk about all of that stuff in a minute. So from an overview perspective, it certainly is believed to help with spiritual growth and development, to access the higher realms, to align your personal will with divine will, and to be able to access your psychic gifts. Now, I just want to make a mention here too that when it comes to Golden Obsidian, it carries the attributes of black obsidian with it as well. Now, black obsidian, I know from when I was working, or back in the day when I used to hang around with a lot of metaphysical workers and crystal collectors, black obsidian is considered to be very powerful for bringing the subconscious to the conscious mind. So if you've got unresolved issues, then it brings them up. Basically, you'll be put in a position, it will draw that energy out of you where you've actually got to face it and address it. So that's just something to bear in mind. It's supposed to be quite strong, and if you've got a long history of trauma, you might struggle with some of the stuff that comes up to start with. Just putting it out there so people are aware. So all obsidian, whether it's golden sheen or whatever, they come from, because there is a variety of coloured obsidians that you can get, whether it's green, whether it's black, or whether it's the golden sheen, or whether it's the silver sheen as well. They are products of lava from volcanoes, and so where you would find them is in areas where there have been recent eruptions through to old eruptions, and apparently the sheen comes in because of the mineral content that is in the soil or the surrounding area once the volcanic eruption has occurred. So anyway, points of relevance for us if we're metaphysical collectors is that its hardness is 5.5 to a 5, I think. I've made a mistake here. Yeah, no, 5 to 5.5 is what it is. I've made a mistake on my slide. I'll have to fix it in a little while. But the golden sheen can carry different colours. Like I said, mine's got a bit more black in it. It doesn't have any brown, although apparently it can. And it can also have a little bit of the green on it. And definitely, as we see here, mine too has got the gold on it. So it's never going to be transparent, even though it's got that smooth and glassy luster. It's never going to be transparent, although it can have some translucency to it. Now, as far as where you can find it, I was only able to find Mexico and US, but I've got to admit I didn't do an intensive try to research the locations of it. So if you know of other places where it can be found, by all means, let us know in the descriptions. Just say g'day and tell me where you got your piece from if you've got some. So from a buying perspective, any buying tips that I can give you is that basically I don't think that you're going to find it faked. I haven't seen any information to indicate that people are getting scammed when they're buying the golden obsidian. And I believe it's got, it's in fairly abundant supplies. There's no shortage of it, so there would be no motivation or incentive to fake it. The only tips I guess that I could say is just if you're buying, especially online, do your checks on how much does it cost, because when I was doing my comparisons, because the piece that I've got is a palm stone that was gifted to me, so I had no idea what might be a competitive price until I started looking around. What I saw was one site was selling these tumbles for basically $10 Australian for each tumble, which I think is a little bit on the pricey side, but it's not unreasonable until you look at freight costs and how much that might cost and the size of those tumbles. If they're tiny little tumbles about pea size, $10 is probably really quite exorbitant. But then on the other hand, if they're a good sized tumble, about the size of a cherry, that might be a nice price for them. The other thing is, though, that what I did see is the image that we've got here, those tumbles were being sold and dispatched from Bulgaria. Now, if I was looking to buy these tumbles, as in individuals, offline, I'd have to look at the freight costs, because the freight costs might end up making that particular tumble about $50. And I'm fairly confident that I could buy this locally, probably for about $10. So yeah, I wouldn't consider buying from Bulgaria, only because of location, not because there's anything against Bulgarians or their products, just so you know. Sorry, I just had to have a cough. I hope I'm not getting a cold. Yeah, so anyway, the point that I was trying to make was, my comments are about not buying from Bulgaria are because I'm in Australia, and the freight it just wouldn't make sense to spend $50 on a tumblestone that I could get locally for $10, so that would be the only tips I could really give you here. So let's take a look at the spiritual attributes, because this is where I find it to be a fascinating crystal. It comes into its own as this spiritual, energetic type crystal, as opposed to being physical. So there's a lot going on there. I think this is why I referred to it as the stone of achieving empowerment. Okay, so in the first instance, it's supposed to purify your aura and to help shield and stabilize it, to link and connect your conscious mind with your higher self and your inner wisdom, and to be able to let go of your ego, release that. So that's what we start to call shadow work, acknowledging that there are two aspects of us, that we all have light and bright, and then we also have some darkness within. And the more we bring light into our aura, the more we're able to minimize and reduce the shadow aspect. Now, the shadow is not all negative, by the way. The shadow refers also to the intuitive aspect. If we're talking about the balance, you're talking about masculine and feminine, and getting a balance there between your energetic aspects. So I would imagine that's part of the healing attributes for the golden sheen or golden obsidian. So what you would do, or you could do, is hold a healing ritual or ceremony to open you up to being able to diagnose energy, and to be able to access, I guess, shamanism. Shamanism is a very diverse word, so that can even mean animal communication, but there is that level of communication with the higher realms and the light beings there. And so therefore it would support being able to access the guidance from the light beings, and to be able to channel wisdom. What I do like, and what I saw, was this business of surrender. Okay, so when we talk about aligning our personal will with divine will, that really is a case of saying, not my will, Creator's will, and a willingness to walk the divine path, okay, under grace in the divine way. So it's supposed to also facilitate spiritual journeys and traveling. So that can actually mean astral. It's supposed to support manifestation, magic, which is transformation and miracles. When used in meditation, it can enhance the experience of meditation. So if you struggle to maintain focus while you're meditating, if you're a newbie to it, it will help strengthen, this is obviously the attributes, your capacity to sustain a meditative state and to integrate your mind, body and spirit bodies, so that you've got that unified balance across your aura. It's also good for grounding. If you were going to be doing any energy work, you actually need to be grounding after the fact. Now, when it comes into the psychic gifts, this is something that I think will be attractive to people. Apparently it can be used as a scrying tool. A lot of people do. When we talk about scrying, we're also talking about, if people aren't familiar with that word, it's like gazing. When people have a crystal ball and they look into the ball and they get their messages those ways, that's scrying. It's a form of scrying or gazing. So apparently you can use your golden obsidian for that. It's supposed to help a person develop and enhance their clairvoyance gifts, which that's the vision, and also to help with prophecy, which is to see into the future, which reinforces the ideas of astral traveling and being able to go to the Akashic records, if that's how you pronounce it. Or I probably should Google how that word is pronounced. I just see it in my mind and I know what it means. Anyway, spiritual diagnostic, if people were into the healing professions and they were looking to develop those skills, then they might want to be wearing the golden obsidian when they're actually doing their treatments. You could also wear it as an amulet or talisman for energetic protection or protecting your aura when you're doing work. And what else have I got? Just that it helps a person to feel very safe when they're working. It's supposed to attract abundance. What else have I got? Oh, also give access to past life healing. And if you're looking at doing your dream work and your shadow work, yes, you could sleep with it or wear it or whatever, pop a piece under your pillow. And I think I've covered it all there except for planetary healing. People might not understand what we mean by planetary healing. It can mean, obviously, going out and reforesting areas, but from an energetic perspective, or cleaning the oceans or whatever. But from a energetic perspective of linking with the higher self, that can be working with planetary healing rays and channeling the healing colours, because the rays are coloured, into the earth. So, for instance, if you were in the forest, you might work on I'm just pulling it out of my head right now. Say with the green ray, I probably would work with the turquoise or the silver or the gold or something like that if I was going to do that. But what comes to mind immediately is that if you're working with ocean, you can try and anchor the turquoise or the aquamarine ray into the ocean areas to support the marine life. So anyway, that's a little bit for consideration. If you think I've missed something and you want to add some more, please do make a comment. So of course, when we're working with the higher energies, this is going to impact and influence our emotional and thinking state as well. So that's the other healing aspect of the golden sheen, is the way we think, the way we feel, and what we do. So it's supposed to be beneficial for people that have got some deep-seated trauma going on for them, to help with a healthy release. And it's recommended that you use that as part of a healing ritual, shall we say. It's said to enhance your decision making. What else have I got here? Grounding and stabilizing emotions, to help a person to feel confident with the decisions that they make, which of course leads to leadership characteristics. Supports a person to take personal responsibility for their life choices, in the recognition that they're the drivers of their own destiny. We all are. So a willingness to take responsibility and to take charge of the direction of our lives and where it's going, because in this way we're going to actually overcome any form of victim mentality that we might still be carrying. So there becomes, I guess, a repatterning and a heightened self-awareness where we recognize, what is going on. Why have we got these recurring cycles in our life? What are we doing? And where might we be blocking ourselves from actually achieving our own goals and manifesting those goals that we imagine in our mind and how we perceive our life to be. So yes, of course, once we start working on that, we start to release limitation, thoughts of limitation, which is liberating. So golden sheen is considered also to be a stone of liberation. So it encourages hope and positivity, optimism. What else have I got here? Supports a person to cut through problems and to find solutions, and that's always a positive thing. And when I talk about golden sheen being a spiritual diagnostic tool, you can also use it to diagnose what your blocks are emotionally. If you've got a block in your thinking, actually, this is one of those rabbit warrens. Okay, you could Google, if you feel that your thoughts are restricting you from accessing your goals, like you start working towards it, then you start thinking negatively about, I'm not good enough or whatever. There's what's called cognitive flaws, or maladaptive thinking. If you want to know the details on that, there's a whole heap of sheets online that are easily accessible, and I'm drawing on my social work experience here, that you can get, that just gives tips and strategies for overcoming negative thinking, because sometimes we can send energy to something and the problems remain because we're not actively doing anything about it on the physical realm, shall we say. So actively working towards our goals can actually include doing exercises for our brain, I suppose is a good way of saying it. So when it comes to the chakras, it's supposed to be most closely associated with the base chakra, which is the red one here, and your solar plexus. But more, I guess, trusting the universe and universal processes and learning to trust your own decision making, shall we say. That's what builds the confidence. However, I'm going to take it a step further and say that I believe, while that is true, that it also potentially can open and activate your Earth Star chakra and connect a person through to the Gaia Earth Kingdom, nature kingdom, as well as the celestial realms and that upper chakra, celestial chakra. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, give me about a week or come back and watch the video on Sunday that I load, because those are the pages that I'm updating on my website. I will probably return to them within a couple of hours because I'm working on colours in the aura at the moment. And then I will go back to the chakras. But anyway, I'll be talking about the Earth Star chakra and the Kundalini chakras on my website. So just putting that out there for you. And yeah, and when you open up the Gaia, the Earth Star and the Kundalini, you're working with all of the chakras at once anyway, because it just goes up and down the spine. So as far as ways to use your golden obsidian, there's many uses. Of course, you can use it as an ornament. It depends on whether or not you've got it as a rough piece, as we've seen in some of these photographs. If you've got it polished as a palm stone or a tumble like what I've got, you might want to use it for meditation. You might want to use it for gridding. I'm not sure really if you can get much jewelry made with it, but I don't think that there would be a problem with having it made as a pendant, just being aware that it's only 5.5 as far as hardness goes. So you've got to be careful with it because it's a bit glassy. So for me, somebody like me wouldn't use it as a bracelet, just putting it straight out there. I'll probably bang it on something and break it. But if you're interested in doing things like developing your abilities, doing prophecy or the scrying, you could certainly use it for that. You don't need to have a big piece for those type of activities, by the way, but you would need to have a polished piece. And you could have one of those small balls with it. I've known somebody that can do the scrying through tarot cards, the size of a tarot card. They would just look at the tarot cards and then the whole scene would play out, the clairvoyancy would kick in. So I guess, yeah, you could use a sphere for that, your crystal ball, or you could, if you've got a larger size palm stone, one that fits comfortably in your hand or on the table or whatever, you might be able to do it that way as well. So, as far as a messenger goes, I think with Golden Obsidian, given the amount of spiritual attributes that it carries, and that it is recommended for metaphysical workers, whether they're psychics, whether they're energy healers, or whatever, it would be if a person is not actually doing any of those things right now, I believe it's actually saying, look, time to step up. If you're drawn to it, it's like carry on, because it's time for you actually to embrace your your metaphysical gifts of healing or energy work in whatever way you do it, because there's something that you must have agreed to in your divine plan. However, if you are already an energy worker and working in those fields, I would say they're saying time to step up. There's more. Okay, more. Time for you to step up to the plate and do some more with your energy work. Don't sit still. Energy never sits still. So keep growing, keep developing, and work with the obsidian to enhance and refine your gifts, and perhaps even go into the fields of doing spiritual diagnostic. A lot of the time, people that do energy healing, they're able to pick up on the chakras but not do diagnostic, so they can just I guess spiritual diagnostic for them, for a lot of us, actually, for me, most of the time, if I'm taking a glance, I'll be able to say, look, there's seems to be a dysfunction with such and such a chakra, there may be a blockage there or whatever. But a really good spiritual diagnostic is going to be able to look at an injury or a blockage somewhere in the aura and say, I can see when that happened and why that happened. My information is you sustained that injury at a time when da-di-da-di-da, and just it'll roll off their tongue. So it could be an opportunity or a reminder to start growing. Don't sit still, keep growing. So, as far as caring for your golden obsidian goes, fortunately, it's not a difficult one to look after. It's reasonably hardy, although obviously it can break because it's 5.5. But if you've just got it as part of your collection, it's easy to wipe if it gets a bit of dust, if it gets a bit grotty and greasy from people's hands, if it's being handled as palm stone, it's easy enough to just wipe it off with a damp cloth. But of course, you want to keep the luster, that golden luster that's on there. So you would not use anything that's going to scratch the surface, especially if it's a polished piece. If you're going to use any soap and water, if you feel it's particularly greasy and need it, you wouldn't be, of course, using the harsh chemicals. You'd use a mild soap. You wouldn't scour it. If you've got it as a gem or it's set in jewelry, oh gosh, what's wrong with me? I can't even speak. I think it's that the dog just shook himself. If you had it as a jewelry item, you could put it in that lukewarm, tepid water to clear off any grime that might get caught up in the silver or the gold, but you wouldn't put it in the ultrasonic cleaners. I don't recommend them to anybody at any time anyway. And then, of course, once you've put it through the soapy water, mild detergent, then you could rinse it off. But you wouldn't, just to be clear, you don't put it from, say, a hot water to a cold water, because that could create fractures, as I understand. So you keep it pretty lukewarm, tepid temperature. Once you've got it clean, you would store it basically away from other hard-edged crystals. If you were going to do the charging, if you're into the metaphysical charging, you wouldn't be putting it on your amethyst points, okay? But if you're like me and you're lucky enough to have your polished selenite, that's always brilliant for everything. The other pointer is that I believe, I'm not 100% sure, but I understand that you don't expose golden sheen obsidian to light. You minimize it, because it will actually, after a period of time, it will change the color. The color won't be able to sustain it. It'll fade. So that definitely means we in Australia should not be putting it on our windowsill if we're using it as an ornament. Oh, and just the other reminder, okay, so if you've got some as beads or necklaces or whatever, just be aware that if you use perfume or cosmetics, they're all chemicals. And so when we expose our crystals to chemicals, that can damage them sometimes, and that remains the case for golden obsidian. So, my friends, look at that. It's been a very short video today. I think we're all very relieved about that, including my little dog. So for now, I'd like to say, look, thanks for being part of my journey. By all means, say good day to me, leave a message. If you found something useful, thumbs up. That'd be wonderful. Thank you. In the meantime, I'm going to say love you, leave you. Have a blessed day. Take care. Please join me on Sunday. And write a comment to me if you've got some questions, or if you feel that you would like me to do something, or if you want to know more about what I'm doing with the website, and even actually the local community event. Feel free to message me on the Sunday video. You can ask on this one, I'll still see it, but Sunday's the next time I load a video. So yeah, you could ask this now, or respond to me on this video, and I will check in before I load the Sunday video. And if I need to expand on an answer, I'll respond on the Sunday video, but I'll tag you and let you know.